Singapore is known for having the strictest regulations and policies in the world in various areas. Located in the heart of Asia, amidst skyscrapers that touch the sky and impeccably clean streets, hides a country that defies conventional notions of freedom and social norms. Defined by control and discipline, the country is monitored by cameras 24 hours a day and has countless prohibitions and regulations, the violations of which are severely punished. Its population is composed of Chinese, Malays, Indians, and other communities. This great diversity influences the need to maintain harmony among different groups and to respect the customs and traditions of each to uphold public order. Many of the prohibitions we will discuss during our walk today, such as those related to religious respect and morality, align with these deeply rooted cultural values. Singapore also strives to present a captivating urban image that maintains a good international reputation. And certainly, tourists are amazed by the cleanliness and orderliness of its streets, but what are the most surprising restrictions of the Asian country? How do these prohibitions really affect the daily lives of its residents? In our extraordinary walk today, you will discover them all. Yes, as you've read, the sale and possession of chewing gum are prohibited. This ban on chewing gum was introduced to address the issue of public hygiene and cleanliness in public spaces, with the aim of keeping the streets and public transport clean, thereby improving the overall appearance of the city. Those who possess or sell chewing gum without a valid medical reason typically face fines ranging up to $1,000. In severe cases of smuggling and illegal gum sales, prison sentences of up to 2 years may be imposed. It's important to note that the ban does not apply to medically prescribed gums, such as those used for smoking cessation, but the sale and possession of these gums are strictly regulated and may require a medical prescription. Do you remember the high-profile case in 2015 when a group of German 20-somethings were sentenced to 3 strokes of the cane and 9 months in prison for graffiti on private property? Vandalism, including graffiti on both public and private property, can result in substantial fines, community service, and in severe cases, prison sentences. Fines can vary depending on the severity of the offense and can range from $2,000 to $10,000. Graffiti offenders are often additionally sentenced to perform community service, which includes both cleaning and restoring areas affected by graffiti, as well as financing these efforts and other community services. Moreover, this offense can also lead to a prison term of up to 3 years, as was the case with these young Europeans, as well as 3 to 8 strokes of the cane. The image of a clean city is so important that the enforcement of graffiti laws in the country is stringent, and specialized units have been established to track down and apprehend offenders. Like many other countries, Singapore has specific hours during which the sale of alcohol is permitted in stores and establishments, which vary throughout the week. It is generally allowed until 10:30 p.m. or 11 p.m. The primary goal is to maintain public order and prevent behaviors such as excessive drinking, excessive noise, and disruption of the environment in residential areas. The consumption of alcohol in public places, such as parks and outdoor areas, is restricted between 10:30 p.m. and 7 a.m., although this rule does not apply to designated places like bars, clubs, casinos, and restaurants that have the appropriate licenses for more flexible alcohol sales. Singapore has become a nightmare for smokers in Asia. In fact, it is the most feared place for smokers on the continent, due to its strict anti-tobacco laws and the high price of the product, so expensive that many turn to smuggling, so much so that over 20% of tobacco consumed in Singapore is illicit. With the aim of protecting public health, the city's image, and promoting a smoke-free environment, smoking in certain public places like parks, beaches, and other outdoor spaces is prohibited, and doing so will lead to significant fines, which again, depending on the severity, can range from $200 to $1,000. These stringent anti-smoking laws apply to both citizens and tourists and seem to be effective because 5 decades after the initial measures, the country has a smoking rate of 10%, which is well below that of other developed nations, nearing its target of 5%. Singapore enforces some of the strictest drug laws in the world, with possible death penalties for drug trafficking. Penalties of up to 10 years in prison and fines of $20,000 are imposed for possession and consumption in small quantities. Refusal to undergo drug tests carries prison penalties. Even possessing devices for drug consumption has consequences. Even if tests for illicit substances come back negative, possessing them carries a penalty of up to 3 years in prison and fines of up to $10,000. In larger quantities, selling, transporting, delivering, distributing, or even offering drugs to third parties can lead to a trial, where you can be punished with caning, flogging, caning, and even the death penalty. Trafficking on behalf of another, regardless of location, has consequences. Furthermore, consuming drugs in other countries can result in prosecution upon return to Singapore. Singapore has regulations that allow for the banning of certain books, magazines, and other materials considered offensive or inappropriate or that may undermine the cultural and social values of the country. Examples of banned materials include extremist religious material that promotes or incites religious extremism, including content that supports terrorism, pornographic content, content that promotes hate, violence, and discrimination, blasphemous or sacrilegious content, or content that criticizes the government or presents sensitive political views, among many others. Dressing inappropriately or immodestly in public places can result in fines. Singapore promotes modest and respectful attire in public places, especially in religious areas and formal events. When visiting places like temples, mosques, and shrines, you should dress to cover your shoulders and legs. While there are no strict regulations regarding attire when going to beaches or pools, it is recommended to cover up when leaving the water. Although a year ago, in August 2022, Singapore announced the repeal of Section 377A of the country's penal code, which criminalizes consensual homosexual relationships, decriminalization is not the endpoint for addressing stigma and exclusion. In fact, during this same announcement, Lee Hsien Loong, the country's prime minister, pointed out that he will continue to advocate that marriage is the union of a man and a woman. In any case, the repeal became effective in November 2022. Singapore has thus joined the growing list of nations that have decided to no longer consider same-sex relationships illegal, such as Antigua and Barbuda, Botswana, Bhutan, and Angola. With Singapore's addition to this trend, the number of countries maintaining such criminalization will drop to fewer than 70. In June 2023, the country celebrated its first LGBT+ Pride Day following the decriminalization of homosexuality in Hong Lim Park on the island, the only place where demonstrations and gatherings are allowed in the country. According to the Ipsos Global LGBT+ survey, 55% of respondents in Singapore stated that they were in favor of some form of legal recognition for same-sex couples, and 57% believed they should be able to adopt, while 32% directly supported same-sex marriage. Littering in public places can result in significant fines. Firecrackers and fireworks are prohibited, and forget about plucking a beautiful plant or flower because you'll have to pay a $500 fine. Be mindful of drone usage restrictions, as permission is required to fly drones in public areas due to security and privacy concerns. Using loudspeakers in public spaces requires special permits to maintain tranquility, and singing inappropriate songs in public or disturbing others by playing a musical instrument is punishable. Have you accessed the internet using your neighbor's connection? Don't do it in Singapore, as accessing the internet through a neighbor's connection is considered a crime and can result in up to 3 years in prison. Spitting in public spaces can result in a fine of up to $1,000. If for some reason you forget to lower the toilet seat and are discovered, you could also be brought before the authorities. Walking naked within a residence or hotel with the curtains open could result in fines of up to $200 or even a 3-month prison sentence. Performing bodily functions in an elevator can have serious consequences. Did you know that many elevators in the country have sensors that can even close the doors, trapping the offender? Control your thoughts and desires, as imagining or wishing harm to the president is considered a serious offense, even with the possibility of the death penalty. If the targets are other government officials, the maximum penalty could be life imprisonment. Forget about eating and drinking on any type of public transport or jaywalking. Also, don't even think about carrying durian, an Asian fruit famous for its strong, unpleasant odor. In fact, it's considered the world's smelliest fruit. Bringing durian into public spaces, such as public transport or semi-public places like hotels, is prohibited, and you'll see the durian symbol crossed out in many locations. And with this torrent of rules and prohibitions, we've reached the end of our extraordinary walk today. If you made it this far, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Until our next walk.